I'm curious if we can give this multidimensionality that we're both envisioning, some more tangible ways.
Sure. So I try to look at it from the macro and then from the micro. So I kind of try to make my mind like a telescope, and only I put myself in outer space, looking back at the Earth. So when I do that, what I see is in the macro, I see a web, but it's not just a web of like the way you think of a mesh, like a fishing net. I see a web, or like the way clothes is woven. The way I see the web is that it actually is 3D, and then in time it's 4D. So the web itself is a construct of nodes that are actually passing through the Earth itself. They go around the Earth, and then the satellites go even around that. So I see this encapsulation of satellites. I see through the Earth itself. It's not on the Earth or over the Earth. It's actually through the Earth, passes all the fiber optics. And the fiber optics move to these centralized centers and then data centers around the world. You can find maps of these data centers in these fiber optic cables, just Googling it. So then you see this basic free flow of information that's going through that in the form of light and the form of electricity. And then it ultimately comes to, really these server farms. And I think a lot of people don't understand that most of Web3 is maintained in server farms. It's not maintained in individual computers. Like when we run our nodes so that they're always online 24 hours a day, they're run through server farms, and we use our own individual terminals as the way to be able to connect with them, program them, set all the settings, et cetera, and let them work. Then you see those connected through the individual terminals, people's phones and people's laptops and tablets and stuff. And then I think the part that most people don't see, now this is kind of getting into the micro, right? We've gone from the macro all the way down into the micro, is that you and I are not separated right now by technology. You and I are connected by the technology. So my eyes are actually part of my brain. My eyes connect to the optic nerve that goes directly into my brain. And what I can't see from the side, but I am seeing directly in relationship to me, is actually a waveform that's coming through the pixels of part of the screen that I'm on. So there's actually a wave interaction to the pixels themselves. The pixels are now connected through wave interaction to the Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi is connected through wave interaction to the towers. The towers are connected to the fiber optics. And that's actually creating an unbroken connection between us right now. It's unbelievable. It's uninterrupted. It's unbroken. That is an interaction. That is an energetic interaction. That is a quantum interaction. It's a truly viable scientific interaction. And if you now take just the interaction we're having, and now you multiply it by 1 billion people, then you multiply it by 2 billion people, you multiply it by 3 billion people, all moving through that network itself has taken on an extraordinary form of both architecture and geometry. So now if we move all the way back out into outer space, now let's leave that network with all of us. Let's leave the interconnection. Let's allow the energy and the waveform to be there. But in our imagination, let's remove the rest of the matter of the Earth. Okay, let's actually remove it. We see that in the density of Earth itself, where there would have been land, are now just people connected to the terminals, connected to this network. And then around them, encapsulated them, are these satellites. And that is an extraordinary form of geometry right there. That is a multidimensional field of consciousness that is being explored and expressed between people in real time. That's a fundamental miracle. The fact that we've created that without even thinking that was going to be the shape that it is. And it's pliable, it's morphing. You don't have to just be sitting connected to lines. It's Wi-Fi. So now in it, people are flying and they're still connected. People are on trains, it's still connected. People are in cars, it's still connected. The people are moving around the cities in these clusters. Like if you look at the Earth from outer space, just looking at like Earth from nighttime, where you see the satellite images of where there's the most electricity, and you just see these population density centers around the world. People are moving through it. It's like a swarm. It's like a hive swarm of energy that's taking place, that's moving this collective consciousness and zeitgeist, right? I don't think the Web 2 version of it is all that flow ends up at a corporation where there's a manipulation around the nature of the flow for the needs of the corporation. What's interesting about Web3 is it's just nullifying those corporate hubs. It's using some certain corporate hubs, like around how you actually get the internet connection itself, and who owns the fiber optic cables, et cetera. It's using aspects of it, but The control of information is not directly related to individual corporate hubs at every step. So you actually see this massive flow of peer-to-peer starting to take place. And the peer-to-peer understanding that's taking place is where that technology can actually take on its own collective consciousness, right? That's the real emergence point of what we're talking about, where Gaia can now express itself in an entire new way, and we don't even know what that will ultimately look like. The consciousness flow through that will represent all of the ways that we've currently codified consciousness, which are all of the ways that the political and capitalist systems and education systems fundamentally function. That's like the core of the codification of consciousness, is all the ways humans are using consciousness and language and their mind right now. What we don't see is what's going to emerge from this. And this is only 3, 4, 5 years old. Right. So think about when the first Internet 1.0 started at 3, 4, 5 years into it, what it is now 25 years into it, or 30 years into it. This peer-to-peer expression of exchange, interaction, communication, hardware, software, and understanding language and consciousness all of a sudden creates a collective mind share that wasn't there, a collective intention that wasn't there before, a collective drive that wasn't there before. But I think in the earliest states, what I'm seeing is an understanding that there's more commonality between us than separation between us or differentiation between us globally as a collective species, and that there's a collective need for well-being, and there's a connective need to share ownership, and there's a collective need to share the responsibility of maintaining important systems and not just putting that responsibility on somebody else. And there's a collective need to develop the next generation societies, next generation cities, next generation finance, next generation money. And that's all very progressive in terms of innovation. So this is the first time in my life that I've actually seen a global community coming together about radical systemic change, but doing it in a way that's truly evolutionary. And how important that is, that collectively that understanding is moving through the collective consciousness all at the same time.